Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening from CxO Global Forum. This is Shazad Sikandar on CxO TV with CxO Rendezvous. Our guest today and our member is a very esteemed member of the CxO Global Forum, Mr. Zeeshan Ahmed, the Chief Executive Officer, CEO of Askari Enterprises.
Assalamualaikum
Good
Shazad.
evening, Zeeshan. How are you? Walaikum salam.
Very well, Ji.
Lovely to have you on the show, and thank you for taking out time for our forum and for this show.
It's my
So,
pleasure.
without further ado, instead of me introducing you, I would like to know who is Zeeshan Ahmed for myself as well as for the viewers. Something which is not on the LinkedIn profile, something that our members have not seen the side of Zeeshan Ahmed.
Yeah,
So,
so
who
I'll
is
start
Zeeshan?
with my biggest forte. More than anything, I think I'm a really good cook. I even run my own food blog. It's called
Wow.
Meat Sanity on Facebook. So I think if I wasn't doing what I was doing today, I'd be a cook somewhere.
Wow. I tried cooking once and I put water instead of oil in the fried egg. That was the last and the first time I tried my hand at cooking.
Fair enough. Cooking is maybe not for you then.
Yes, of course not. So
So
you're an
I think
interesting. That's interesting. So you would have been, if you were not doing this, you would have been the top-notch chef somewhere.
I hope so. But that's the
Oh,
dream. That was
so
once the dream. But cooking is my hobby. I cook just to get away from my day. And that's exactly what
wow,
I'm going to do after I'm done talking to you. I'm going to cook dinner for
wow,
the
that's
family.
interesting. You have a very fortunate family and a very fortunate wife, I must say.
Yeah, I think if anything, that's why she keeps up with me, is because I end up making 2 meals a day sometimes.
That's a wonderful value addition in anybody's life.
It really
Okay.
is.
I'm sure it is. So from banking, when you started off with ABN AMRO, so right from banking, moving on to the financial sector, then a two-wheeler company, and now with Askari Enterprises. Briefly walk us through your journey.
So that's the start of my career. But honestly, I've been working since the 10th grade. Most people don't know this about me, but my first job was as a parking assistant for one of the mechanics in my area. So
Oh, wow.
in the evening, he'd have all these cars parked outside, and he'd pay me money to park them back for him at night before lockdown, and then bring them out for work again in the morning before school time. That was my first job, and I still
Wow.
remember he used to pay me 900 rupees for it. It was a really big amount for me.
Interesting. And 900 at that time, that's very entrepreneurial, I must say.
No, I think what I wanted to say by this was that necessity drives results.
Yeah.
If I wanted something, it cost money. There was only one way to get money, and that was to get a job.
Yeah.
So I've always been driven by necessity and results. That was my first job. During college, I was delivering airline tickets for IP Travels.
Wow.
That was my second job. Then I became a sales officer in ABN AMRO, my first real hardcore job. And sales is not easy. It taught me a
Of
lot of
course.
lessons in life, a lot of lessons in life, especially about having no ego and being humble. Sales does that to you. So I did sales for ABN AMRO, then I did service quality, product management, launched a lot of premium products with Fessel Bank, then got bored with the banking sector, moved to the automotive sector. That was a lot of fun.
So when you
But
say got bored with the banking sector, I've heard a lot of people say that. So when you get into finance, when you get into banking, so how does the boredom come in? I mean, there are some people who make
that's
it
so
to,
I'll tell you. I'll tell you. So the time I joined in, product development was at its peak.
Hmm,
Banks were taking out new products. I mean, in my time, we launched credit card for ABN AMRO. I was one of the team members over there,
hmm,
right? So
hmm.
it was new, it was innovative, it was something that the industry had never seen. And then it just flatlined. There was no new products coming in. It was all about bringing money, numbers, and that's it. There was no real growth. Sure, I could have stayed there. I could have gotten what we call career progression. But was it career enhancement or enrichment? In my opinion, definitely not.
Hmm,
And
hmm.
that's why I feel a lot of people get bored and moved on from the banking sector.
So why do you feel that there was it got saturated? Why did it
Oh,
flatline?
very simple answer, Shazad. Because the economy wasn't growing. The economy was fully saturated. I remember now. This is a study that was valid for 2012. there were about 2 million bankable customers. That's it. In a country of 220 million, we had 2 million bankable loan customers for ABN AMRO based on our
That's less than
criteria.
10%.
Yeah, and each customer had already been leveraged by different banks. So the guy already had 4 or 5 credit cards on him.
Mm, mm.
Right. So when the economy was not growing, when the sector was not growing, there was no need for innovation.
But I think the auto sector gave a lot of growth to banking through financing and financing
Yeah,
products.
it's been a crazy roller coaster. I see, we always look at the good years, but no one ever talks about the bad years.
Bad years, true.
Yeah. Why was auto financing shut in the first place? Right? Because it didn't do well.
It
See,
didn't do well.
it's an oscillation. So I hope the risk assessments are better. They've learned to do differently the assessment process, but it's cyclic with the auto sector.
And I think now again we are at a different peak and valley kind of an approach with the auto sector, and especially with the prices going up. That's becoming a challenge, and the new policies that are coming up in terms of
I
leasing
think,
and
if I
and
may
and
just say lightheartedly, just lightheartedly, given the price of petrol, I don't think no one want to drive a car anymore.
That's true. Actually, I'm considering to get a cycle that's good exercise, no fuel cost, and it takes you from A to B. So and it's
Yeah.
also no pollution. So it has a lot of advantages.
At
Although
some level, it's called forced advantage.
oh yes, of course it is. Okay, you mentioned something interesting. When you get into sales, I've also had a rich sales background and a sales experience. If nothing at all, it makes you humble, and it makes you very down to earth, and it makes you very focused also because then you're target oriented. You're very focused on the KPI. Now, having all of these qualities, and when you end up at C level, be it at the two-wheeler, be it at your current position, how does that humbleness impact your decisions?
Look, I'll tell you, had I not experienced the problems myself,
You
then
would
there
not
are
be able to utilize.
no way. I mean, I'm not putting anybody aside on this, but I would have to make it sound like anybody's problem would be my imagination trying to process it, right?
Hmm.
But to put it crudely, जब वो दर्द खुद feel किया होता है ना,
बिल्कुल.
तो नजर भी आता है. And I'll tell you what happens when you live through it. You are if you're a pretty proactive C level, you can actually pick up the red flags and help the people before it becomes a problem in the culture and they come back to you.
True.
So
True.
it helps a lot. If anything, I think it keeps you grounded and keeps you more human.
That's true. That's true. How do you keep yourself self-motivated?
Yeah.
Not
So
motivated, self-motivated. So in this answer, you can't look at external motivations. It's like a trick question. How do you keep yourself self-motivated?
my self motivation is very clear. I look at the end of the day when I want to cook food.
I knew that was coming. I
No, no.
knew
I'll
that
tell you
was
what it is. I have learned in the last 16 years, I can't win every day.
hmm.
And the motivation comes from knowing the days I won, to relish them and enjoy them, and to not let the rough days get to me.
True.
There are days when things break away and catch fire, and there's nothing in the world I can do about it. So
True.
my trick to motivation is I don't let it burn me down. I just don't. There's a
Okay.
problem, it can be handled. I may not get the results that I want, but if I burn myself out trying to find that result, then the next 10 days are messed up. I
Do you
just
have
don't.
a mentor in your life?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, this is a conversation I was having with someone. For the last 10, 15 years, I had started believing that I think I've come to a point where I can be a mentor to someone younger than me, but I'm going to have trouble finding a mentor. But I tell you, there's a gentleman in my organization. I look up to him to most things, but from personal life, professional life. I have found a mentor, and I think he has been a source of such phenomenal wisdom that's helped me in my life personally and in my professional life.
That's
So
great,
yes,
and that's a hard find, by the way.
it's a really hard find. Yeah, It really is like a blessing.
Yeah. And you have mentored a lot of people.
Yeah, I enjoy mentorship, to be very honest. I do a lot of non-charge, non-fee things for the younger people. For example, this Monday, I'm actually going all the way to Bourbon to do a talk with the sales team for Marriott.
Wow, that's
No
awesome.
charge, nothing. So that's something that's coming up.
Not that
I've left,
Marriott would need pro bono work, but that's awesome.
it's free. I haven't charged them anything.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and I've left my cell number and email on my LinkedIn, and I have people contact me now and then. I actually want to start something which I've been talking to a lot of people during the startup pitch process. A lot of kids get rejected. I
Yes.
want to mentor those kids and see what's failing in their system. Is it the
Wow,
product?
that's
Was it the
interesting.
pitch? Was it the finances? And maybe next time around they can get money and do something for the country. Yeah.
Great. And in fact, we are also planning something for our CxO TV where new startups and mid-level startups would actually come in and do a 3 minute to 5 minute pitch, and they would be mentored by the relevant industry person. And then the mentor would question them and guide them. Now, that kind of content will be, disseminated to all our viewers, and that can actually help other people also.
I hope
And
so.
we would
Yeah,
love
that's
to
what
have
we
you
need.
as being part of that vertical
Yeah,
that we are
I'm
developing.
available for this kind of thing anytime of day and night. I
That's
really am.
brilliant. That
Because
is
this
brilliant.
is the need of the hour for this country. You
Yes,
enable
yes,
one
it is. And
entrepreneur, at least they'll be able to employ 10 people. That's
that
your
is true.
IT
That is
10x
true.
right there.
That is true. And it's not just the employability, it is also the overall economic impact when you come into entrepreneurship. Because then you look at the social impact, the environmental impact, the economic impact, and the employability.
I agree with you here. I completely agree with you, Shadat, but I'm telling you where my heart is. I want to create employment through my efforts in whichever way possible.
That is super brilliant. And that is the kind of people and the community we try to develop, and we try to enable the startups and the mentors to connect with each other so that there is an enabling community which can actually foster these startups and, drive the economy. Like you said, because of the economy, you said that on a lighter note, but honestly speaking, it was because of the economy that there was a flat line in banking, and banking being one of the backbones. So let's not come to a point where we have to face something like that again, and there are people who can generate funds.
Yeah, and
We are
even
also
then,
doing
you
an
had the
exercise
support
where
of industry. You had the support of
sorry.
industry back in the day. The
Yeah.
legacy industry, you had the support. Today, you're virtually shrinking them.
Yes. And there is so much opportunity, and it's not just the tech. I mean, there are so many avenues that were there 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and they're slowly and gradually becoming non-existent. And that's not because they've been overtaken by technology, it's also because people have not invested in terms of innovation and ideas,
That's what it
and
is.
probably they didn't find good entrepreneurs. So about your current assignment, what is Askari Enterprises all about?
So, Askari Enterprises is part of the Army Welfare Trust. We are a profit with a higher cause organization. What that means is to the profit that we generate through our activities, it goes to the family of the Shuhadas of the Army.
MashaAllah.
We take care of
MashaAllah.
them financially, but specifically the business unit I look after, Askari Enterprises. We're a trade house primarily. We do military trading, we do military indenting, we do a lot of industrial trading indenting. Anything we buy and sell things under trade in
Great.
one simple line. That's what we do.
Okay, so any kind of trading related to military, you're the man.
Even government and even business, like telco sectors, we supply batteries to the telco sector.
Acha, interesting.
Yeah.
So it's a complete commercial venture which is profiting the
100% commercial.
yeah,
We are an SECP registered firm. We operate under the law of the government. We pay taxes.
interesting. Okay, so we were talking about coaching, mentoring. What is your view on executive coaching? I mean, there's a lot
Sorry,
of training. Do
if
you
you
think
ask
the
it,
Pakistani C-level is ready for executive coaching?
to be coached, the C level,
Yeah, yeah.
I think I think we all should get coached on a lot of things. We may be sea level, but we are human like the other person. I've got a couple of positives and I've got a couple of negatives. So I
True.
can only fix my negatives through experience and coaching, and that applies to everybody in the sea level. Yeah, there cannot be a day where no one needs mentoring or coaching. It always goes on.
But how many C-level are as open-minded as you are? This is a very candid, open, live, on-air question. I mean, C-level को तो ये लगता है ना मुझे तो सारा पता है इसीलिए मैं आज ऊपर आ गया मैं यहाँ पे हूँ मुझे कौन आके बताएगा
So there is that element, but it's not the majority. I'll tell you that.
I'm glad to
There is
know
that
that
element, but
you
it's
are
not the
confidently
majority.
saying that.
It's not the majority because I'll tell you at the end of the day, when someone tells you something of logic, it becomes undeniable. You can
True.
argue it 5 minutes longer than necessary, but fact and logic is very hard to suppress. And especially with the new generation workforce, they operate differently. They're not like the way you and I were when we were in the workforce.
Yes.
These young boys and girls, they have an opinion, they have done their research, and they have firm belief in what they're saying. So
True.
either you're going to lose talented people, or you're going to be flexible and listen to what they're saying.
You are a person who's very open to learning and that is very hard to find in Pakistan. I really appreciate that. Now based on that I would want you to give me a single learning that you got out of your journey, so one out of ABN AMRO, one out of the two-wheeler
Ooh,
Crown, one in the current one.
too many examples, but I'll tell you my favorite example.
Okay.
This was the first day as a sales officer in ABN AMRO. My boss tells me, here, you need to bring back two credit card applications. That's your target for the day. And I was very confident. I was like, two? I'll do this by lunch. Just
Just
two?
two. Yeah.
By 6 p.m., I remember standing at Chandigarh Road, sweating with mud, bus ka dhua, sab kuch. People didn't even give me 10 seconds of their time.
True.
I couldn't even finish my sales pitch. And that's the day I realized that there's a very fine line between confident and between being cocky.
Wow.
It's great to be confident, it is regressive to be cocky. That is the ultimate example of my career that stands out. Like, that's the day I left my ego at home and I came as an employee willing to learn. And I told him this crudely कि यार मुझे credit card बेचना सिखा दो मुझे नहीं आता.
Wow. And what about, I think Crown is a case study in your life and something that you're also very proud of from a
I
different
think
sector.
Crown is operated by very strong, very wise, and very progressive principles.
Mm.
They started from very humble beginnings as a business, but they got to a really high number, great sales, great market caption, everything. Crown was a case study because it was enlightening to see a legacy business wanting to be ahead of the curve. You know that thing you spoke of, industrialists not really preparing the next generation? These guys are ahead of the curve.
Oh,
They,
that's great.
lis- they listened to people like me, and some of the ideas were alien for them, excessively alien, but they sat down, they asked questions, uh, they asked outcomes. A lot of times they listened to us. A lot of times we came to a hybrid conclusion, and a few times they didn't listen to us, which is fair. But at least most of the time they're progressive. So Crown was a journey of communication and negotiation. That's
Wow.
how I would
So it
bring
was
it.
about influencing behaviors and negotiations.
It really was, and the biggest lesson I learned about negotiation in that period was that a good negotiation is not one when the party opposing you loses. A good
True.
negotiation is when you and both the party come to a win-win compromise, where no one leaves the table feeling that they were shortchanged.
That's true. And win-win is not necessarily the same quantum of win. That's something that people expect. As long as you win, and you get what you want, it doesn't have to be the same quantum, because that's not
Yeah.
always possible.
I look at it a little differently. I agree what you're saying. But by the end of the negotiation, did you achieve the progression that you were looking for?
True.
I may have walked in wanting progression in 4 steps, but I finished the negotiation getting progression in 6 steps. So the steps become irrelevant
Yeah,
as
it's
long as
ends
progression is
apart.
achieved.
Uh, what do you think is a key ingredient? And since you're a mentoring startups and you're mentoring other people, and mashallah, you have a mentor for yourself also, and you've been fortunate enough. In one line, what do you think is the key ingredient for a sustainable business in Pakistan?
Oh, yeah, I don't think I can answer that question, to be really
That
honest.
that is not a tough question, but if you
It
were to
really
put
is.
one word that is absolutely necessary for sustainability of any kind of business across industry.
Uh, the only thing that comes to my mind is being open-minded across all channels. The workforce has to be open-minded to know the challenges of the business. The leadership has to be open-minded to know the challenges of the workforce. The entire vision has to be open-minded to know where the economy and infrastructure is heading.
True.
Right? So I think then if you really have to put all of that in one word, which I'm not very comfortable doing, but I would use open-mindedness.
Great.
Have to
Great.
break the shackles that we have of our legacy businesses. The workforce is
Brilliant.
different, C level is different, the environment and customer is different.
That's true. So finally, it was lovely learning from you, but we would
Very
like
kind
to
of
know
you.
how CxO Global has contributed individually and otherwise to you as being a member.
So, first part of your question individually, CXO Global has given me a window into the tech world.
Okay.
The challenges, the solutions, the way forward in the tech world. I feel if I read one day's worth of conversation in the chat group, I have a basic idea of what's going on.
That's brilliant. That's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Professionally, I think I'm very fond of Kaval. I know what he wants to achieve. It will literally network cross industry together, right?
Yes.
My example, I sitting here can learn about the tech world. Somebody in the tech world can learn about the trade world,
Yes.
and
And that is
the
the connectivity that is there.
it's there, and I see it every day. I think a couple of days ago, someone needed some help in Dubai, and they just put in a query. It came up. Then a few days ago, someone wrote about he wants to start a startup, needs help with getting it together. And I remember I messaged that chap. I said I'm available to do it.
Wow,
So
that's brilliant. So the community is actually built on the concept of a knowledge sharing platform, and you see that happening in real time.
openness. I do not see any interference from the CXO team in this.
That's good.
Generally, I've seen in other groups where the sponsors are very wary of the members talking to each other without
Yeah,
their knowledge, right?
true.
The CXO sponsorship has been very open. They let people talk, they let people chat, they let people drive results, and they listen to people.
Great. That's great. Thank you very much, Zeeshan, and thank you for the kind words. It was a great learning experience. I hope the viewers also have enjoyed it. You enjoyed it as much as we did. Thank you very much for your time, and we hope to connect with you again. Thank you.
Inshallah. Take care, Shazad. Hafiz.